But other than that, as I was saying before the episode break rudely cut me off, I kind of set myself up for failure there. Yeah, boss isn't too much to worry about. I love this cutscene just because of how Jackyo looks, Sorcerer Man over here. It's so goofy looking. And also that looks like a Cyberman. I know it's supposed to be a green ninja dude, but just looks like a big boy Cyberman from Dragon Ball. Look, like, it definitely looks like the angle is just so funny because it's definitely supposed to be like a camera angle from below, but because it's an 8-bit game, he just looks like he has a really goofy expression. And oh, trapdoor. I always love that animation too. $700 is very specific. I'm used to seeing 100 or 1,000. 700? Don't see a lot in weird ancient prophecies in video games. And that is, God, someone needs to use that as like a Twitter profile pic or something. That is just beautiful. What a fantastic expression. So this is where the game, in my opinion, really starts to pick up in difficulty. Act 5 and Act 6 can be pretty rough. Once again, it kind of comes down to memorization, and then also just kind of knowing what weapons to use and when to not pick up certain weapons. One thing I should note is that every lantern in this game is predetermined, so you don't need to worry about randomized loadout or anything like that. Every pickup is set. So there's going to be a few cases where there's going to be some lanterns you don't want to break so that you can keep a good weapon for the situation. This is actually, in my opinion, where the this little boomerang shuriken has the most use, in my opinion. It can really cover both sides of the screen when you're jumping around in this level. And I probably could have showed it off there earlier, but you can really blaze through this while just having that thing out and jumping back and forth, and you can really make good work of it. And also be sure to grab that potion while you're running through, because probably not going to get through this level without taking a bit of damage. If you're really good, not like me, and also you can see the enemy despawned there, as I kind of referenced in the first part. If you're really good, you can dodge that person's attack and then just jump into the level transition, and it looks really fucking cool. These cliffs give people a lot of trouble. Look at that enemy over on the side there, he's freaking out, moving back to back. Be sure to get the spin attack here, and then don't get knocked over by that weird gremlin dude who... There's a lot of dudes that they're just crouching and having a good time, and then they just start rushing towards you. It's not fun. So yeah, the spin attack really makes that part not too tricky. Don't fuck up that jump, it's a lot tighter than you would want it to be. These gray dudes, if you just stand still, you'll always be able to easily dispatch them. Don't gotta worry about it. Try to time your jumps here so that as soon as that projectile passes by you, you can jump over and then take care of it. And also keep in mind that those cannons, the fire they shoot out, and honestly most projectiles in this game, if not all, don't quote me on that, but at least regular enemy projectiles I believe you can destroy with an attack, so if you're good you can kind of parry the enemies throwing stuff in that way. Here's another potion here. This part is brutal and kind of infamous too. You need to wall jump down and grab that ledge without falling, while also dealing with that hawk that spawns in. If I was good, I could have used the spin attack there to deal with that hawk and not take that damage, but sometimes you gotta make the sacrifice. This is my least favorite stage aesthetic in this game. It's just generic temple, with like, I believe that's like little weird patches of grass growing on top sometimes, and like you can see that pillar there. Not a fan, it's just really ugly looking. I think part of it's just the color palette. It's this weird mustard yellow. Reminds me of MS Paint. Not a fan, and the green wall there, gross. These games, the NES trilogy, did get rebundled as a collection for the Super Nintendo. Not many people advise you play that version because I believe the first game in particular even has a lot of really bad just glitchiness and a lot of really weird stuff going on with the emulation, or I guess technically the port job or whatever. It just wasn't great. Yeah, play the NES version of this if you have the opportunity, or any of its re-releases, and First Death, of course. This part always trips me up. It's so weird and specific. You got the bird there, you got this guy jumping in, got the dude with the bazooka. It's just, it never feels like there's a good time to jump in. I tried to capitalize off the hit invincibility there. And I don't remember how I do this, actually. Yeah, I think I do that, and then while I have that still, jump up, and there we go. Yeah, the timing on it is so tight, and it's just, it's rough. This is another part where if you have the spin attack, or honestly probably any weapon, it's probably a lot easier. But yeah, you can get stuck into a loop where you're right on the ledge waiting to jump, and the running enemy keeps charging in at you. But don't worry about whatever weapon you go into this boss fight with. It really will not matter. We get a free full heal after this cutscene, which is nice. This guy's name is Mulf, but on the internet, and I believe probably some other secondary materials, his full name is always referred to as Bloody Mulf, and I'm sure they probably just couldn't say bloody on the NES or something, or maybe, who knows, maybe they couldn't. There's just some weird limitation with the spacing or whatever. But yeah, this is the dude who was in the gray outfit in the beginning, apparently. Got kind of a cool, weird ram head helmet thing going on. Kind of looks like a Mad Max dude. This boss fight, straight DPS race. You're gonna get hit by that lightning, it's gonna hurt. Just don't worry about it. Keep hitting him in the shins with your sword. I know he has a giant shield, does not matter. Just keep hitting him. Make sure he doesn't hit you, because his collision damage is brutal. So just watch your spacing and make sure he doesn't rush into you, or else you've basically lost the fight from my experience. God, this is such a weird angle for just viewing that dude's head. Ryu looks pretty cool, and also you got the moon in the background in this shot, though. It's funny how I call it a shot, like there's an actual camera here, but I mean, you know, cutscene slide. Act 6. Okay, this is where the game just goes into full fuck you mode. If you play this game, you are going to become very familiar with Act 6. And it's not going to happen to me this playthrough, because I avoided it, but most of the time when you die in this game, either what happens is that you have lives remaining, and the game will spawn you back at the start of whatever segment of the level you're in, or you get a game over and you just restart whatever level you're on from the beginning. So like, if you die in 6-3, you would respawn in 6-3. But if you lose a life on... You don't even need a game over, if I recall. I think if you just lose to the final boss, you start all the way back here at 6-1. It is honestly a pretty bad design decision. It's very artificial and very, very goofy way to pad and, you know, kind of stuff out the length of your game. But, you know, that's kind of what a lot of NES games did back in the day, kind of keeping with their arcade game lineage of wanting your quarters, and also, you know, these games are short content-wise, so part of the way that they added value, as a lot of developers seem to explain it from interviews and such, is that they would make it tricky so that you couldn't just, you know, rent the game and then beat it in one go or whatever. You would, you know, really need to sit down and learn the ins and outs. I think overall this game actually is pretty good in that regard, and I think learning this game is pretty fun. There are a few parts, especially in the 6th act here, that are terrible, like that. So the only way I've ever found to deal with that bad is to get it to spawn by kind of juking out and making it spawn. Also, as soon as you get to these two turrets, just rush ahead and try your best to slash at them as fast as possible. If you time it right, you can, as the second one fires, you can blow up both its fireball and the turret itself at the same time. Now this is one of the most bullshit things ever. You're gonna want the spin attack for this. There are ways to deal with it otherwise, but yeah, just it throws the whole zoo at ya. And that robed dude throwing the daggers in a Hammer Brothers style on that platform just makes for one of the trickiest, most infamous jumps. I feel like I say infamous a lot, but there's a lot of hard parts of this game that people are, you know, have a lot of have a lot of memory of and frequently complain about, because this game can get brutal, and that little jump segment in 6-2 is really rough. If you don't have the jumping slash weapon like I did there, and you can get it, I didn't get it because I already had it going into the level, but there is a lantern where it does drop, so just find where that is. I believe it's that platform, and there's my first game over. I believe it's the platform where those two gargoyles are. It's the leftmost lantern is the jump attack. But if you don't have the jump attack there, what you can do is you just really take your time, kill the enemies one at a time, and if you space yourself correctly, you can get the Hammer Brother robed dude to despawn and make the jump a lot safer. But it's tricky. It's not easy. I honestly think it's just a very poorly designed part of the level, and could have gone with maybe one or two less hawks in that segment. Just my personal opinion. I never have fun going through that part. But yeah, I got that game over, and as you can see, I just started all the way back at 6-3. Really thought that this would be the first time in my life I managed to beat this game without getting a game over. Did not happen. Maybe it's something I could try doing on like a live stream or something one day. I'm kind of Ninja Gaiden out for a bit here, I suppose. So this dude's interesting. If you kill him, what kind of where you're positioned here where I am, sometimes he'll come back if you try to go back around, so just do a wall climb and then get this hourglass. I believe this is actually no, this is not the final hourglass in the game. But yeah, you're going to want to get that hourglass, or else that green dude's going to jump on you. Use the flame here to deal with some of these higher up enemies. Actually, this game kind of has two Hammer Brother-like enemies. There's the dudes with the weird skull faces, like I just killed with the fire there. Kind of throw stuff. There's the robe dudes. Actually, three now that I'm thinking about it, because there's those, and then also there's the people in the Jason Voorhees masks too. They just really like Hammer Brothers, I guess, when they're making this game. Now this is a tricky part. This is going to be the last life thing you get in the game. That's the last hourglass. And you're going to want to grab it to avoid that collection of ghouls jumping down and just fucking up your day. They can very easily trap you in a loop, and it's a bad time. And also there's that green weird pixel glitch thing that happens right in this final cutscene, or lead up to the final boss here. Very unfortunate. And the reason I just tanked my way through that final corridor, you actually see that recommended a lot by people. Yeah, just tank it, because this is also another boss fight where you just get a full heal. Oh, flashback in grayscale. That's amazing. That's a nice touch, actually. They didn't have to do that, but they did, and I respect them for that. You know, I feel like this game gets away with some stronger language than God, I sound like such a fucking Puritan. But you know, like, see, they're saying like killing and death and stuff like that. And I know a lot of other games at the time and developers were frustrated because they weren't always able to to use language like that, because the NES was, you know, obviously heavily marketed as being like a family-friendly thing, and they often didn't want, you know, specific religions or mortality and a lot of bigger concept stuff, or anything that just was seen as maybe a little, you know, controversial or whatever, as you know, they just had to change that for the American versions and really water everything down. But this game gets away with like having guns and saying kill and death and stuff like that. Couldn't say bloody mouth though, apparently. Though to be fair, like I said, maybe that was Maybe that was a little... Maybe that was a little, space limitation thing. I'm just using all of my flame energy here. You gotta hit this orb. Basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna wall climb all the way to the top so those, satellite orb things can't hit you. And then you're really gonna want to go on that middle pedestal there that's a little bit off to the side. And just go to town on it whenever you can afford to. Very easy first phase of the boss fight here. You can try to destroy the satellites, but at the same time, I've never found it worth it because they come back so fast. There's that frame again. Or that shot again. God, that face will never not be funny to me. Oh god, this is Dragon Ball Z as fuck. Check that out. Yo! Vegeta just died, dude. Now this fight here gives people a lot of trouble. Once you get a feel for it, it's pretty... I don't want to say easy, but there's definitely a rhythm to it that once you start to really get into the flow of it, it's a lot more simple and not as difficult as it first appears to be. Basically, these fireballs have quite a bit of momentum, but they start kind of slow, then go faster. If you stay on the ground level, they'll just go off screen, but if you're on one of the pedestals, they'll loop back around and home in on you. So try to get them off screen. Only jump up when you have a safe time to hit him, which is often when he's going kind of from the left side of the screen to the right there, just because of how the pedestals are placed. But technically, if you're good and you really get the timing down, you can, as soon as he's done firing a fireball, you can really space yourself to jump up and get a free hit. But it's often safer to just wait for a moment where you're really feeling yourself. And I'm getting hit like a buffoon here over and over again. I've had a lot better runs of this boss. I really was worried I was gonna meet my maker here, down to my last little bit of health. Not good, not good. It can be really hard to gauge where these things are headed to, or even when it's safe to go between them, or when you're better off just running to the side. There we go. Whew! Trust me, my heart rate went up, like, by a bajillion when that happened. It's like, oh my god, I did it. Also another typo, you're safe. Thank god you're safe. Maybe Ryu's just really happy that the lady is, safe is okay, not her. But finally I can get into your safety deposit box now that you're still alive. I like that also his dad specifically says we've got to throw them from the temple. Like, don't even bother, like, carrying them out. Like, no, just fucking chuck it off the side. Of course that isn't gonna happen, though. Uh-oh. God, it's so Castlevania-esque, looking at it from that perspective. Oh no! Alright, so this final boss, not too bad, but also hits like a truck. So it's gonna, like, bleed out of its neck, or ooze some weird alien goo substance. So basically you just need to wail on the head until it falls off. You are going to take damage. To my knowledge, there's no way to avoid damage when that head comes at you. Maybe if you really are good at timing your jump, but I've never personally been able to do it, or I don't really think I've seen anyone else do it either. And then you gotta destroy the tail, and then destroy the core there. Not too bad, just keep your eyes on the blood coming out of the top there, and just kind of waddle back and forth, and you should be able to do it just fine. Unfortunately, Ryu's dad will not be joining us for the ending. I don't care about the woman, Dad, I just care about her safe. Well, you start the game thinking your dad's dead, and then you end the game thinking, oh, he's still alive, but actually, then he just dies again. A shame. A real tragedy. It's kind of a cool effect. For the time. Really good coloring on the forest, actually, there, too. I like that little blue under the, you know, the darkness of night. Good effect in the purple on the horizon. This game looks pretty good most of the time. It's just that one level that's ugly as fuck. And I really like the parallax scrolling effect that they employ in scenes like this, too. Ryu, we both have the same palette being used for our hair color. Isn't that amazing? Why would you say that over a walkie-talkie? You definitely do not know that he's not right there. As he is. He's taking it in stride. He's happy about it. He's like, oh, you. I'm gonna assassinate you like a real ninja one day. Oh yeah, check out this sick writing. This scene makes me laugh every fucking time, dude. Ah, the original, the girl reading this post. Oh, look at this, smooch. It's so corny. Oh, that's so fucking funny. That's definitely not something you want to hear after you kiss someone. I don't even know your name. Irene is a good CIA agent lady name. Well, everything ended not really happily ever after. I mean, Dad's kinda dead, but, you know, stopped a demon from taking over the world, and weird sorcerer dude with the creepy profile pic, and it was a good time. I had a fun time let's playing this one. Took many hours of practice before I got comfortable with my performance in this game, and just, you know, being able to play through it all in one go. And like I said, I kind of had to staple my footage together so that I could include the cutscenes, because the gameplay playthrough you saw was I'd skipped all the cutscenes and just kind of blasted through it in the evening. But yeah, what a fantastic classic, honestly. Really good, fun game, and like I said, if you enjoy hard games, this game can be really bullshit and honestly pretty frustrating at times, but I do think that if you're really looking for a challenge and you haven't played this one yet, Ninja Gaiden is, you really can't go wrong with it. I don't have much experience with 2 or 3, I definitely want to let's play those in the future. I've also, honestly, this series in general is just a huge blind spot for me, I feel. I've always really wanted to play the later, like, mid to late 2000s 3D action games and stuff, too. And I've played a little bit of Sigma and Sigma 2, but never really got far into either one, but they just really seem like well put together, challenging games, and I've always wanted to play through those, so yeah. I definitely am gonna try to let's play 1 and 2 at 2 and 3 at some point, but we'll see, because I've heard they're both even harder. And also, sorry for the screen darkening at the end here. As soon as I beat the game, I had to take a phone call, and I left the Switch on idle for too long, and it darkened here, so wouldn't be a Rosin Let's Play without some weird technical hiccup, right? But yeah, see you next, as Tecmo says. Have a good night.